What's up, everybody? My name is Kyra, and thank you for tuning in to the ARkaiVE. Today, we are diving into one of the most essential voices in hip-hop, not just as an artist, but as a cultural force and a storyteller. This is the Notorious B.I.G. and his greatest hits. Now, normally on ARkaiVE, we break down a specific album and go song for song. But this one is special. We are going to go song for song on an actual curated record of Biggie's greatest hits. Born Christopher Wallace in Brooklyn, New York, Biggie grew up in Bed-Stuy at a point where hip-hop was still finding its voice. Raised by a single mother, Miss Voletta Wallace, Biggie showed signs that he was gifted at a very young age, but also pulled into the realities of street life pretty early in his life. And like many of the rappers during this time, street life really made these dudes different, made their stories different, because they were rapping about their life and actual struggles or actual victories that they were experiencing day to day. And not only did his stories of his life make him so unique, and even though Biggie was expressing and documenting his life through raps, through hip hop, his voice really was something to stand out. And his flow was so effortless. His voice commanded your attention. It literally paints the picture of what he's doing, how he's moving, how he's growing, the women he loves, the women he likes, the dudes he hangs out with, the dudes he doesn't hang out with. Biggie just really is a great storyteller. Biggie got big off of a demo tape that got into the hands of Sean Combs. This was after Sean Combs' release Ready to Die in 1994, and this was the start of Bad Boys Records. This is actually one of the huge turning points where the East Coast hip-hop got back on the map. During this time, the West Coast was really dominating on radio, dominating in this genre. And while the West Coast had been dominating this sound, Biggie brought New York back on the map with the storytelling, the jazz-influenced beats, and a level of vulnerability that wasn't really coming through rap at this time. So let's get into this particular album. Let's look at the cover art. Now, this particular record that I have is not one of his albums, but it's a compilation of some of his greatest hits. And there aren't any liner notes or anything, but it says Biggie Smalls was the swaggering hip-hop alter ego of Christopher Wallace, who came of age on the streets of an 80s era Brooklyn. In his tragically brief career, he transformed the world into no punches, pulled poetry with sinuous grooves, as heard in these 10 original recordings. Classics, hits. Got my guy here. And something really interesting about this compilation of albums, these songs come from only 2 albums, which to have your greatest hits compilation album come from just 2 albums, that's pretty iconic. Let's get into some of the songs that are on here. So like I said, we have Juicy, which was released in 1994, produced by Gene Oliver, also known as Polk, and they sampled M-Tomb's Juicy, which was released in 1983. And Juicy was released shortly after Biggie signed to Bad Boy Records. And during this time, he was really transitioning into music full time and really just dedicating himself to writing these bars. We also have Big Poppa on this album, which was released in 1994. This record was produced by Chucky Thompson and Sean Combs. They sampled the Isley Brothers' Between the Sheets. A classic. It said that this record actually defined the player image of the 90s. Everybody was trying to be as smooth as this tune. And using this sample, this was proving that Biggie, he can go into the different worlds. Like, he's not just rapping over just hip-hop beats. No, he is also rapping over some of the best R&B music out there, and he can also set the vibe. Another one we have on here is Warning, also released in 1994. This was produced by Easy Moby, and they sampled Walk On By Isaac Hayes. Next, we have the One More Chance remix released in 1995. Shout out to the 95 babies. And this record was produced by Sean Combs. They sampled Stay With Me by DeBarge. And this song, the remix was actually bigger than the original song. This was kind of the strategy of Bad Boy Records. They made their remixes the hits. And this is actually the blueprint of how hip hop started taking over mainstream radio. Another record is Who Shot You, which was released in 1995. It was produced by Nasheem Myrick and Sean Combs. And it's believed to have been recorded in 1994, but later released in 1995. This was actually the record that was recorded before the Tupac shooting. And though Biggie said that this song wasn't actually about the situation where Tupac was involved in a shooting, the timing of this release was very controversial and was not making any of the tension any better that was already there. So this record became bigger than just music. It really became part of hip-hop history. Next we have Hypnotize, which was released in 1997. Produced by Sean Combs and Ron Amen Ra Lawrence. And they sampled Rise by Herb Alpert. Next we have Mo Money Mo Problems, which was released in 1997. Produced by Sean Combs and Stevie J, and they sampled I'm Coming Out by Diana Ross. This was also featuring Mace and Sean Combs. The next record we have on this is Notorious Thugs, released in 1997. This record was also produced by Stevie J and Sean Combs, and it was featuring Bone Thugs and Harmony. Then we have Going Back to Cali in 1997, produced by D-Dot. And this was also a very tense time. Biggie was spending more time in Los Angeles, and he was really trying to move past the East Coast, West Coast tension. Lastly, on this album, we have Sky's the Limit, which was also released in 1997. This was produced by producer Clark Kent. He sampled My Flame by Bobby Caldwell, and it's also featuring 112. In this song, Biggie is reflecting on his success and where he's come from, and how now it's time to just think bigger than surviving every day. These are songs that literally shifted and shaped an entire genre. Biggie is one of our GOATs in the hip-hop genre, and unfortunately Biggie's life was cut short just at a young 24 years old, but yet his influence is everywhere. His flow patterns, his storytelling, his delivery. Artists today are still studying him. Some of our greats alive today still give him his props, and they still say they're inspired by him. And what makes Biggie special, it was not performative. It was really him. This is really his swag. He wasn't copying anyone else. So I wanted to make this episode just to shout out Biggie. What a giant in the music industry, what a giant in the sonic world. But yeah, I'm gonna listen to Biggie for the rest of the week just because. But I hope you guys are enjoying these ARkaiVE episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any thoughts on this, please leave a comment. Again, my name is Kyra. Thank you for watching. Follow me on all socials at bykyra.com. Subscribe, like, comment. Thank you guys for being here. Peace.